Hey guys, it is Mr. Whitley, and today's lesson is for Friday the 15th. And for our Friday lessons, we've been focusing a lot on science. Well, today we're going to focus a little more on art, but with a little bit of science and nature tossed in. Well, it's been a really rainy couple of days, and so we all enjoy painting at the Whitley household. So Quinn's over here. He's doing some painting. Quinn, can you tell the guys what you're painting right now?
I'm painting a cat.
Yeah, a cat, and that's for school. So today's lesson is painting. And so Mrs. Whitley is a really good painter, and so she has some supplies down here. So she let me borrow one of her trays and some of her acrylic paint, which is a certain type of paint, but you actually don't have to have acrylic paint today. You can use pretty much any paint that you have. You can use watercolor if you need to. That's what Quinn is using, and that'll work just fine for what you're doing. Okay. Mrs. Whitley, can you see the thing in there? Okay. So what you'll need today is you can pick one of these two different activities. I'm going to do two just so you have some choices. So I have two just plain regular pieces of copy paper. If all you have is lined paper, that'll work as well. I put a mat down just because one of these activities can get a little messy. Definitely ask your mom or dad where a safe and a clean spot is for you to do this. Probably a kitchen table would be a good idea. I also, besides for the paint, for my first activity, you want to think of something in nature that can work as a natural paintbrush. So the thing is, I actually just went out to my front porch and I grabbed this from the bush that is in front of our house. The reason I grabbed it is just because it looked like a natural paintbrush to me. Like for this paintbrush, it has bristles in it and it's stiff. I can use it to gather paint up and to spread it. And I actually was going to go walking around in the park and look for one, but lo and behold, just walked outside my house and here it was, the perfect paintbrush. Now, there are a bunch of different suggestions for this. There are some weeds that are really good paintbrushes. There are some flowers that would make a really cool paintbrush. Even some leaves, if you get a sturdy enough leaf. Probably smaller leaves would work a little better. But the reason we're doing this is just to see the texture that this paintbrush makes and how it reminds us of how it fits in nature, what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paint. Now you see my paint's pretty stiff, so I'm going to kind of dip it in there, and then I'm just going to make some movement with this. And it doesn't have to be, I'm not painting a specific shape or a person. I am just painting with movement. Now, here's this. And to me, somebody might say, hey, that looks like something that a baby would do. But to me, it's really cool because I can see where the paint really stuck to the needles of the bush, and I can see where it was just on the very edges, and it makes it look like movement. It almost makes me imagine this is what wind looks like when there's snowflakes attached to it. Now I'm gonna add some fuchsia. Is that what this is, Mrs. Whitley? Fuchsia or purple? I gave it a little bit of a little more of a glob on there just to kind of give it a different texture. And I'm gonna kind of smear it and just kind of make some, almost like some swirls. And I left the blue on there just because I wanted to see how they'd kind of make a shape together. So I went back for another round and I'm doing natural shapes. Almost like dots and maybe circles. Some taps there. once again, I'm not trying to make any specific picture. I'm not trying to paint a house or someone's face. I'm just trying to do movement in some basic shapes. So I just took this and I just swirled, or I dabbed, or I dotted. And to me, this looks really cool. This looks like almost like a fall day with those dark, rich purples. Remember, we studied those specific colors that connect to seasons, and how those darker colors often connect to like winter or fall, just because that's a time that's a little darker. And this looks kind of like a fall day where maybe a purple leaf is flying around and some snowflakes are twirling around it as well. So that's my first painting. It didn't take me a lot of time just because I wanted to give you an example. I would probably spend a little more time on this and make a few. So I'd love to see them use different colors. And then I'm going to show you a different one. This is a really cool one, but this one also has the risk of being a wee bit messy. So make sure you first check with your mom or dad before you do this. And find a spot that's clean and wear jinky clothes, which is where I'm wearing a sweatshirt. It looks like it's from 1982. So my first thing is Mrs. Whitley took her paint, which as you can tell is just a little thicker here, and she added some water to it to thin it out. You'll want your paint to be kind of thin. Now watercolors would work perfectly for this. So what Quinn has, his watercolor would work perfectly. So I'm going to take a little and I'm going to dab it on there. But I actually might end up pouring it on there if this doesn't come out quite the way I want. Then I grab the straw. Now this is the messy part. Don't put a ton down there and don't blow super hard. We are going to do straw painting. And just like with this paint where it just kind of made these natural shapes and movements, the straw painting is going to do the same thing. We're going to blow it, and to me, it's going to kind of copy what the wind does to a puddle. And I just want to make people think of what they see in nature. So let's see, hopefully this doesn't dry too much. So here's my first round, and all I had to do is do a really light blow. I did a couple, you can see it's running there. It almost looks like fingers or tentacles on a creature. To me, it almost looks like frost creeping up a window. So I'm doing blowing, and I didn't have to put much. Now I'm gonna take, this is purple I think, so I'm gonna just pour a little. Oops, I poured more than I want. So it's mixing, which is okay, but I put way more than I was planning on doing it, so maybe a brush would be a better way to control it. So since I have so much, I'm gonna do light blows. Now, the more you put on there, the more it kind of moves together as one body. So it almost looks like a lake or a stream moving. Now I can't really pick it up because it'll run, but if you look, that red and that purple, once it overlapped, it mixed. So now this has like a swirl of red and purple, and over here it has little dots of red and purple. I might put a tiny bit more red, and I learned from what I did in my first one, I'm gonna go with a smaller amount. So I'm gonna try that. I really like the tentacles that kind of come from putting a smaller amount on there. So there you have it, 2 really simple art activities. Just make sure that you're careful because goodness, I'm making a mess already. One that has to do with nature and the connection to nature and nature's natural paintbrushes. And the other one comes with wind and movement and how that kind of combines. And then Quinn's has to do with cats. It looks like a cat with glasses who's thinking. Oh, I love it. A cat thought bubble. So there's our
Cat's wearing glasses.
It's a smart cat. So there's our art/sciency activity for today. I hope you enjoy it. I'd love for your mom or dad or grandma and grandpa to post a picture of your art, and you can attach it to Blooms, or you can text it to me. I've texted or called all of you guys, so you have my phone number if you'd like to do that. Okay? I will talk to you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Oh, I have a surprise for you, and I'll tell you about it next week. Okay? Bye.
What's the surprise?